15th of May, Rabbi Furst, Pierke, Avos.
Very good. Thank you again. As we mentioned, the Rabbi Shlomo Furst here, she would summon now, she here in Shlem Zoom. First year this morning, Pierke Avos, we're learning Derech HaChaim, Maral Prague. Finishing up this document, we'll hopefully maybe preparing another one to send out in the middle of this year. I'll see if I can prepare it. But here we're in the second paragraph from the bottom of the document. I want to start that again, Mayor, just to get who can join in with us as well.
Okay, v'hit ba'er ki ein l'davar kiyum rach mitzad tov. Okay. It's been explained that the thing can only
It has been explained. It has been explained that ki ein l'davar kiyum. There's not to anything existence. Rak mitzad tov, only because of the aspect of tov. I mean, that's what he's been explaining throughout, that all things created, right, in order for them to not only be created, number one, and also number two, to continue to exist, must possess an aspect of tov. Whether that means I'm not sure that means they have to be entirely tov. They can't be a mixture of other things as well besides tov. That's not clear, but it must have some aspect of tov. Because if there was no tov to it, it would not have been created.
Okay. So afagav shenimsa prat. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. V'zeki ka'asher yesh nivra chesron.
So now, v'zeki ka'asher yesh nivra chesron. Now there is when there's going to be something that's created a deficiency.
Oh, okay. Okay. L'kach eino tov. What v'davar shehu chaser karov el he'eda l'gamrei.
That l'kach ain't toiv, meaning if it's going to have some deficiency, therefore it's not toiv, right? V'davar shehu chaser karov el he'eder l'gamrei, and something therefore which is deficient is associated to that which is completely non-existent.
Oh.
Eder legamri. Eder is like non-existent.
Can you explain? Did you just say that?
Yeah, go ahead, Roy. What's your question?
Did you say? Oh, no, I forgot. That something is good has been. All right. I guess the last bit that you said, I didn't understand.
Right. Okay. So it says, but the last point was as follows: when there is something which has been created a chesoron, right? I mean, it's something. If there is in something which is created a chesoron, a deficiency, right? The kach ain't told. Therefore, that won't be good. But davar chaser korv ela eder legamri, something which is having a deficiency, something which is deficient, is associated, is korv, is connected to non-existence, the complete non-existence. Right? That you know this yourself. If you have, let's say you have a you have a bicycle, right? You have a bicycle, right? So the bicycle only has one wheel, right? So the bicycle is now deficient, right? So it could be, right? You have an option. You can try and get yourself a another wheel. So now the um, bicycle has the replacement wheel, right? But let's say you can't get a replacement. There is no replacement wheel, right? So now the bicycle's on the junk heap.
But the
Right.
bicycle was created, and yet it
That's
shouldn't have,
right.
but it shouldn't have been created.
Well, the way the bicycle was created was with two wheels,
Uh-huh. To start off
right?
with. Okay,
Right.
all right. All right, yeah, because that's what that was bothering me. There's nothing that couldn't have been created yet was, and yet and how can it be related to something that's not created?
Right. This expression "carve ella egger legamre" is not completely. I don't understand it completely. What it's really what it's supposed to mean exactly.
Mhm.
I need to work on that some more.
Okay.
I have a suggestion that
Sure. Go ahead, Lou.
what it's saying is something's created that is good, but nevertheless it's deficient. Then that makes it closer to non-existence. In other words, there's a tension here between something existing and something not existing.
Right.
The goodness in it pushes it in the direction of existing. The deficiency in it pushes it in the direction of not existing. So when it says karov el ha eder legamre, could translate karov in this case as pushing. It's pushing to non-existence, to complete non-existence.
Right. It's meaning it's leaning towards that. It's like it's headed toward that. It's I don't know if you would say destined for that.
Mhm.
But the problem,
Right.
but the problem that I'm having with it is you have a bicycle. The bicycle is good. Now, it's lacking a wheel. That doesn't make it bad. It's not now evil or wicked. It's lacking a wheel, but it's
Sick.
still basically a good thing. The juxtaposition here of tov and chaser is not, they're not opposites. It's not really a proper juxtaposition.
Okay, so hold on to that thought for a minute. Let's read the last sentences. He's going to introduce this point now. Hold on to that. We'll discuss it hopefully in more detail. But I want to get through this next sentence. Aval. Go ahead, Mayor, if you like.
Okay, aval hatov she'ein bo hara v'hachesron hu rachok min ha'heder or ha'eder ra'oi lo abriya v'hakiyum.
Now, let's see. Aval hatov she'ein bo hara, but that which is good, she'ein bo ra, that has not within it any ra, evachasron, any deficiency, who rochok min ha'eder, that's far from non-existence. V'roi lo ria ve'kim, it's proper for it to be created and to exist. So the the thing which is toiv without raw and chesaron, right? So that meaning, let's use our example of the bicycle. So a bicycle which is functioning properly, it is not deficient, it has all its, and it's all its parts, right? So it's therefore it's far from non-existent. It has a right. It's fitting that it be created and also continue to exist. But something which, in contrast, which is now has chisoron, and it's deficient in some way. So it's in a situation where it's not proper that it exists. And that's what they do. I mean, yeah, for example, you have your bicycle with only one wheel, and you have no replacement. You can't get a replacement wheel. So at best, the bicycle is going to be sold for parts. We'll sell it for parts, but it's no longer a bicycle. As a bicycle, it's going to cease to exist.
Mhm.
And yet it says that there's no ra. There's nothing bad about this bicycle. It has a deficit. V'hachesron hu rachok min ha'eder. It has a deficit, but it's still far from non-existence.
No. You read it. Aval hatoiv she'ein bo hara chesaron, but that which is good and has no raw and deficit. Meaning they go together. It has no raw chesaron. It's not raw and it's not a lacking in any way. So that's rochak min ha'eder. That's far from it's distant, it's protected from non-existence. It's proper that it is it be created, and it's proper that it exists.
Uh-huh.
Does that help you out any better, Lou?
No, I thought I was onto something.
All right.
I like the way I read it better.
All right. Right. Take again back to the bicycle example. That the bicycle was designed and it was manufactured and produced in order that people should ride on it. They should get on that bicycle and they should go. So now if it's lacking a wheel, there's no replacement for it. So now the whole purpose of its existence has come to an end, right? So as I said, so at best it's going to be sold for parts, right? And but then, as I said, also that it no longer exists as a bicycle, right? It exists as brakes, chains, pedals, whatever it might be, all the various different parts of the bicycle. That's now being sold for parts. So it's now Korov. It's drawing towards the situation the situation of non-existence. Oh, so let's continue on with the next paragraph. Excuse me.
Okay. Hashem Yiparach Eid al haklalim shebahem hatov.
So now Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? Gives this is going back to the Maisa Bereshis. In Maisa Bereshis, it said Kito, right? And whatever, right, Yom Shishi or whatever it might be, it was Toiv. So Kadosh Baruch Hu gave the connotation to all the things created that they were Tov, right?
Okay. Okay. Af agav shenimtza b'prat shelahen chesron.
That Avagav Shinimsa Beprat Shalehem Chesor, meaning, see, as he says here, that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave testimony on the klolim, meaning on the basic classes, the basic genres of them, of those things created, that is Toiv. Avagav Shinimsa Beprat Shalehem, even though you'll find in the individual entities of each and every class and genre, there is chesoren, right? Lefikach harati mekablim ha'eder b'vadai. Therefore, the entities which make up the various different classes of things created, which in general is all good. However, the individuals, as the morale is teaching us, the individuals are in fact created with chesoren. They have deficiencies. Therefore, they all, the individual entities, are mikablim ha'eder b'vadai. They all, therefore, they are susceptible to non-existence. They're exposed to non-existence.
Oh. Okay.
See, this in this way, he's the morals in a certain way, yes, answering one of our original questions, that there is in general the acknowledgement of a Kadosh Baruch Hu about the whole creation, that it is in fact Tov. So therefore, it should in fact be something which is therefore eternal, nitzki. Tov is something which is regulated to Olam Haba. And now we're learning here that the individual entities of each and every general classification of things created, they are and do have to live with deficiency. And because they live with deficiency, they also have to pass from this world because of the deficiency.
Okay. Avah haklalim Haim omdim v'aleihem eid shehabriya hi tova shekol min umin yesh bo hatov.
So here, the general classes of things created, Haim Omdim, they are existing. Valehem ha'ed ha'abriya nitoy. And on that, the Bria, their creation is connotated to be toiv. Shekol min v'min yesh bo tov. Each and every species fact that it creates a Hirschberg created each and every species that is told. There's because there's a continuality and endurance and existence of each and every species that is because it is created without deficit. That each and every species is created without deficit. Nevertheless, the individual entities of each and every species, they do have deficits. So therefore, on the generalities of the classes created, the various species created, that is why Tov is associated to those things which are considered to be the species, for example.
Okay. Uklal, Habriya,Heid, Akatuv, is that Gamkain? Gamkain?
Yes.
Aleihim, Shenemar, Vayar Elohim et kol asher asa v'hinei tov.
That the Klal Habriya, the uh, overall entire creation is testified by the pasuk Gakin Alehem, Shenemar V'yir Elokim Es Kol Asher Asa V'hinei Tov. And Hashem is seeing, so to speak, all that He has created, and Hinei, that is Tov.
Oh, okay. V'ain l'harik b'davar zeh ki hem devarim brurim me'idim al zeh hakol.
Okay, so he says, and on this, ve'ein la'arech b'davar zeh, is not to spend more elaboration on this thing. Yehem devarim brurim me'idim al zeh hakol, and these things are clear and they're self-evident on each and everything. All right. Kia Eder Shemekabala Nivra He Mipnei Hasor. Because the non-existence, which the non-existence, the aspect of non-existence, or the, let's put it this way, the mortality, let's put it there, the mortality that a created object has is because of its deficit.
Oh,
Deficit.
oh, okay. Deficit. Okay, so Mibnei Hesron Asher Hu Hara Hadavak Nivra Nevioto El Eder.
And the Eder Shemekabel Nivra Hu Mipnei Chesoron Asher Hu Hara Hadavik Benivra. Maybe also Ela Eder. So the mortality of any created being has is because of its deficit, which is the raw, which is introduced into the created thing, and that brings it to a situation of mortality, of non-existence.
Okay.
So I think maybe now we can maybe try and explain what the what led us to this document. That we started out by the moral's explanation of Ashrecha v'toivlach. Ashrecha l'olam hazeh, tovlach l'olam haba. So Ashrecha is regulated to olam hazeh, as the moral explained, and tovlach, tov is something which has to do with olam haba. So here in this document, we see that the moral is dealing with the sequence of Maisa Bereshis, that the connotation of Tov was placed upon those things created, right? So that was our question. Our question was, if the connotation of Tov is being placed upon those things which are being created in Maisa Bereshis, that seems to be dealing with Olam Hazeh, right? And the Maharal was teaching us that Tov is really something which is regulated and connotates something which has to do with eternity, with Olam Haba. So how can we explain Maisa Bereshis in terms of the connotation of Tov being attached to all of the creation at the time it was created? How can that be Tov? It's apparently something which is dealing with Olam Hazeh. So the way to understand this, as I see from this document, is as follows. Tov, as this last paragraph points out, Tov is something which is applicable to something which has no chesor, no deficit, right? And therefore, at the time of creation, those things which HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, they were without deficit, without lack. So therefore, it was proper that these things be connotated to be Tov. And it also gives them, as he explains here in this last part of the document, they're rachok min ha'eder, they're far, they're distanced from non-existence. So therefore, the connotation of Tov to all the things in Maisa Bereshis is not speaking about the specifics of each and every entity of things created, but it's really speaking about the generality of the general class of things which are created and have continual existence. So when a Kadosh Baruch Hu creates matter, creates inanimate matter, he creates somech, he creates plant life, creates bali chaim, he creates animal life. So all these things are in fact eternal concepts. They're eternal concepts. And the fact that they have a eternal existence, so therefore they're not so much being described as being told in their detailed entities that exist and function in Olam Hazeh. They're being described as being told in terms of their spiritual template, the spiritual format which exists for them. That is something which is toiv, without cheson, without deficit, without raw. However, the individual entities which are then created from that spiritual template, from that spiritual model that exists, those things, the individual things, as the Maharal points out in this paragraph, it does and possesses a finite existence. But the very basic classes of things which are described in the words ki tov, those things, those general things, are in fact going to be considered to be the spiritual components of those physical things which are created. Any questions about that? There should be some questions about that.
I'm still not clear on why it doesn't say Ashrecha. I mean, it seems like you're saying that you have a theoretical goodness in Maseh Bereshis that is Tov. But it still could say Ashrecha. It's not contradicted.
I think the Ashrecha wouldn't be applicable in my Bereshis, right? My Bereshis is something which is it could be also that the fact that the Akash Baruch was creating things yesh mi'ayin during those days of Maisa Bereshis, everything was being created yesh mi'ayin. So the whole process was being reversed from nothingness. Something came from nothingness, and everything that came from nothingness was considered to be toiv, meaning without chesoron, without defect, without lacking, without deficit. That's what the word tov has to connotate. That it was things created with a perfection which allowed them to be created and a perfection which allowed them to continue to exist. Second.
Well, it seems like just looking at the previous document that you gave us, there is a emphasis on happiness, which we don't have in the second document. There seems to be a connection between the idea of ashrecha, ashrei, which is difficult to translate, and happiness. So maybe the emphasis on Tov in Maseh Bereshis is is not related to happiness because it's more of a theoretical point.
Well, the contentment, the sameh bechelkai, right? The person's content, he's happy with his portion. So that's something which applies to the individual. It's not something which is applicable to the generality of things.
Right. Right.
Yes. So that's why it's probably not relevant to Maaseh Bereshis. Maaseh Bereshis in general speaking about the generalities of the creation of the classifications of the.
But maybe that's the answer. That we say Ashrecha Ba'alam Hazeh. We're talking about the not the general. We're talking about the specific. We're talking about the actuality of the physical world that we live in. And from that perspective, we have this aspect of happiness that we shouldn't fall into the trap of the draw of the physical world to be dissatisfied because of the deficits, because of the lack of perfection. If we can rise above that and be satisfied with what we have and not want more, then we can overcome that deficit in this world. But in the world to come, it's not even relevant. It's all spiritual. That trap doesn't exist. So the idea of being happy with your portion in the world to come is not necessary.
Yeah, so very good. I want to put that back on the screen. I think it was the second document that we discussed this. Let's see here. Let's try to see if this is up. Put this on the screen here. Yeah. Okay, very good. If you notice this, I think the second document, I'm going to put this on the screen and you'll see it. I think it'd be worthwhile reviewing it now. Okay, let's go over this. I think it'll make a little bit more sense now. Yeah, this is the point you were mentioning here. Right. You see it on the screen. I believe if you printed it out or you have access to it, you want, you just look it on the screen. It's the one beginning with the Gemara in Brachos.
Let's see.
A copy of that, Mary? Do you want to read from the screen? You want to read from the copy?
Okay, it says, let's see. With Perakama, the brachot, Hey Amid Aleph, Amar Gadol, Anihine, Migia, Kapo, Yoter, Miyarei Shemayim, let's see, the Ilu, Behana'a, Migia, Kapo, and then it says Kativetzlo, Ashrecha, that's what we're talking about. V'tov lecha ashrecha b'olam hazeh, v'tov lecha liolam haba, v'elu v'yira shamayim hitiv ashrei ish yirei. I forgot what these initials. Yirei Hashem ad kan.
That's the end quote of the Gemara. Up to the first paragraph is basically quoted the Gemara in Brachos Daf Ches Amud Aleph. It says, "Amar Gadol Anena Migia Kappa Yosem Yir Shemayim." The Gemara says an astounding statement, which is why the Maharal is coming to explain it, that it's greater, the one who benefits from his own work of his hands, more than Yir Shemayim. And we're usually taught Yir Shemayim is the very, very apex of, or reason for being existing in this world. And yet you see here the Gemara seems to give precedence to Yegia Kappa. So how is that supposed to fit in? So now to answer that question, the Maharal gives his explanation.
Let's see, Me'ezotam Ne'emar, B'mi Shenidneh Migia Kapo, Ashrecha Ba'olam Hazeh, V'tov Lecha Yolam Haba.
So from what reason is it said that one who's Nenema Kiba Kapo? What reason is it that it's being said here that the one who's working and benefits from his own work is Ashrecha Olam Hazeh, and it's Tov Lach B'Olam Haba. It's Tov for him in Olam Haba. Two things. He has two promises here: Ashrecha in Olam Hazeh and Tov in Olam Haba. So that needs to be explained.
Okay, Perush Davar Zeh, Ki Hanehene Migia Kapo Asher Haim Maaseh Yadav.
Parish of this thing is as follows: Ki nene megia kapo shehem ma'asiyadav. The person who is benefiting from his work, that is the actions, literally the actions ma'asiyadav, the actions of his hands. Right?
Okay, V'hu Asher Mistapek Bama Shenotain Hashem Yitbarach Elav V'dai Lo B'mesh Sheyesh Lo.
So that means who's mistapek, he's satisfied with what Hashem has given him. V'dailo, it's sufficient for him, but ma'ashiyeshlo, it's sufficient for him what he has.
Oh, okay. Imlo Haya Mistapek B'ma Sheyesh Lo Lo Haya Nehene Migia Kapo.
Why is that? That he's satisfied with what a Kaddish Baruch Hu is giving him through through what he's given by Kaddish Baruch Hu. Ki im lo ayim mistapik b'ma sheyesh lo. If he wouldn't be satisfied with what he's been given, lo ayeh nene megi kapo. He wouldn't be considered to be benefiting from his work, right? Can't say he's benefiting from his work if he's not satisfied with it. That's not a benefit. Person, he's benefiting from something which he's satisfied with. If he's not satisfied with it, so that means he's not getting the proper benefit from it.
Okay. אבל כאשר הוא נהנה מגיע כפו, מספק בוודאי בשלו, ואינו חסר, ולכך הוא נהנה מגיע כפו.
Because if he would not be satisfied with what he has, it's not considered that he's benefiting from his work. But when he does benefit from his efforts, he'll be satisfied definitely with what he has of his.
Okay, ומפני זה נאמר עליו אשריך בעולם הזה וטוב לך בעולם הבא.
Therefore, when he's going to be benefiting from his efforts, that gives him that satisfaction of contentment. For that reason, it's said about such a person, Ashrecha, he's stable. Again, the morale is explaining more as this expression of stability, stable in Olam Hazeh, and it's good for him in Olam Haba.
But I have a problem with that last statement. Ashrecha b'olam hazeh, that follows. That's what we just explained. This whole paragraph is explaining and clarifying what it means Ashrecha b'olam hazeh. But the second part of the statement, v'tov lach b'olam haba, doesn't say anything about that. Why?
So-
Why so? Why not? It's good. It's ashrecha in this world, and it's not tov in the world to come. What's the justification?
He's going to be in the following in the paragraphs. He's going to be explaining about tov, but as we've been learning, spend the explanation with Ma'aser Bereshis, tov is something which is indicative of something which is not lacking. It's not deficient. It's not deficient, right?
Right.
That's the basis of the connotation of tov is something which is not deficient. So a person which in this world he is content, he has achieved contentment in this world. So that aspect of contentment in the physical world is going to be transferred to him as being toiv in Olam Haba, because the contentment that he achieves in Olam Hazeh is now going to take that lack of want, the contentment, that's because there's no deficiency. So if there's no deficiency, so that's what Tov refers to. Tov refers to something which is not deficient. This person has achieved in Olam Hazeh contentment. So that contentment is going to be translated in Olam Haba into a situation of Tov. A situation of Tov is where there's no deficiency.
But there is deficiency in this world. We're not getting the ashrecha because there's no deficiency. We're getting it because we have inured ourselves to the deficiency by being satisfied.
That's exactly it. The Samech Bechelko is he has achieved through his efforts that characteristic of contentment. And that contentment is going to carry through and be transferred to him in Olam Haba as well. Where now it's going to be a situation of completeness, of perfection, because he has now achieved contentment in a situation where there is deficiency. And in spite of the fact there is deficiency, he has achieved contentment. So therefore, in Olam Haba, his Olam Haba is going to be toiv, where there will be no deficiency.
But there's no deficiency in Olam Haba, irregardless of anything in Olam Hazeh. In Olam Haba, we don't have deficiency.
No, there can be deficiency in Olam Haba. That's why this person's going to be, it's going to be tovlach in Olam Haba. For a person it's tovlach in Olam Haba, there's no deficiency. But a person who's not going to have tovlach, it's mashma, not everyone's going to have tovlach in Olam Haba. Right? This person's going to have tovlach in Olam Haba. Implying that there are others that are not going to have tovlach in Olam Haba.
Okay, I understand that there are people who won't have tovlach, but Olam Haba itself, there's no deficiency there. It's a spiritual world. We don't have this concept of the lacking due to the fact that there's a physical world. So I'm confused. What's the deficiency that we have in Olam Haba that makes it not tov?
A person could be lacking many things in the person. Not everyone's going to achieve a perfect perfection in Olam Haba. That'll be the reward of his efforts in this world. Olam Haba is going to be the reward for his efforts in this world. So if he's going to be worthy and receive his efforts done properly, then he's going to be rewarded properly. And so therefore there'll be less deficiency there. But if people who were, for whatever reason, unable or unwanting to fulfill their obligations in this world, so they'll be seriously lacking in Olam Haba, and there'll be deficiency there.
So then what's the difference between Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba?
Well, there are very great differences. One Olam Hazeh is finite, Olam Haba is infinite. One's eternal, one's not eternal. The deficiencies which exist in this world in Olam Hazeh are only finite deficiencies, but deficiencies that will exist in Olam Haba, there'll be eternal deficiencies. But maybe we could we'll pick up with this discussion maybe tomorrow, right? It's already it's after 10 o'clock already. So let's take a break. Okay, but maybe make a note and we'll pick up with this discussion tomorrow, Neder.
Just a question about corollary question, I think. In Olam Haba, if you go in with okay, can you acquire a deficiency?
According to the way I understand things, Olam Haba is everything's in a status quo, everything's more or less fixed. Meaning whatever a person has achieved and is entitled to because of his efforts here in this world, that's what he'll be given and that'll be his situation and station in Olam Haba.
There's no more plus and no more minus.
Sort of like the accounts are closed.
Oh well.
But that's okay. You'll do very well, Roy. Don't worry, you'll do very well.
From what I know of myself, but you don't know. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay.
It's a
It's
shame.
106 Alaman.
Amen, amen. Hey, Lamar, Bez Hashem. Have a
Thank-
wonderful afternoon in the meantime. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Amen. Bye. for
I'd
now.
see you soon.